Welcome team to Yoga for Balance and Bones. We are focusing on the core today. I think core is kind of part of our theme all the time because anytime you're doing a single leg exercise, you need some sense of core stability, but core strength in particular, I feel is really helpful in fall prevention strategies because it helps to stabilize us, if you will, create a sense of stability in the face of instability. Right? So if you think of tripping over an uneven surface, if you're on a trail or if you hit two sidewalks that are different levels, your body has to recalibrate. And that comes from a good integration of the core or a lack thereof, in which case we could potentially fall. So it is not the only factor in staying upright and minimizing our risk of falling, but it is a factor. So I think we need to address that formally. Today you're going to need one medium-sized weight. I'm using like a 15-pound, but it's relative to what works for you. A yoga block, potentially, and if you don't have a yoga block, don't fret. Just make sure you have a couple of blankets nearby. We're starting class today on our back. You're very welcome. So whatever it is that makes you comfortable and helps you to maintain the neutral spine position, transferring to the ground the best way we know how, and that is sideline. Stretch out that arm closest to the floor. And then full screen it is. And then slide that arm away from you as you come to lie on your side and then of course on your back. And again, take a moment, just get yourself set up. Before we start moving our body, I want you to find a sense of support. Again, filling the gaps. If we don't have a blanket underneath our head a lot of the time, our chin will protrude upwards towards the ceiling, and we do not want that. So pick up your head, lengthen the base of your skull, and make sure it's sitting supported. If you would like to put a prop underneath your low back, please go ahead and do that. And then just place your hands on your belly. I like to knock my knees together just so that my hip flexors aren't engaged. So let them rest inwards and then close your eyes. There's nothing to look at here. I just want you to focus on your breathing. Whatever your breathing is like right now, whether it's shallow or deep, whether you notice the cool air coming into the nostrils, if you're in fact breathing through your nose, which is my preference when I practice yoga. And the reason that is that we know that by breathing in and out through our nose, we help to settle the nervous system instead of being in that constant state of arousal, that fight or flight. We help to facilitate a nice sense of calm and ease in our body and maybe in our mind. We'll take a few more breaths, just checking in and seeing how things feel. Maybe even taking another moment here to set an intention for your practice to be curious. And then when you're ready, keep your hands on your belly. Just keep staring upwards, soft gaze at the ceiling. There's nothing to look at necessarily, but this time separate your knees so they're hip width apart and no longer knocking towards one another. And I want you to try and exaggerate the expansion in through your abdomen so that you feel, in fact, as you take breath in through the nose, the breath going all the way down into the lower abdomen, and the lower abdomen expands. And then as you exhale, conversely, the lower abdomen softens towards the floor, towards your spine, without pressing your low back down. So this breathing exercise is not an exercise of your spine, but rather of the diaphragm working, right? Expanding, contracting. And I want you to get curious here. If you notice, in fact, that there is no movement underneath your hands, that's something that should make you go, And it could be one of two things, or maybe more than that. But I suggest that if you cannot feel your hands visibly moving up and down as you inhale and exhale, you're either bracing, which means you're creating tension where it's not required, or that this state of fight or flight is minimizing our awareness and our ability for us to expand. So they're kind of one and the same. So it's not that you do not know how to expand your belly, but sometimes some of us, aka me, and I'm sure many of you here, are in that state of stress that we hold the tension in through our belly all the time. And that is not functional breathing. So I want you to really focus on inhale through the nose, exhale through the nose, and really see if you can get big in through the belly just by that action of breathing in. Not pushing your belly out. Those are two distinct things here. And exhaling, feel the abdomen contract, draw in towards the spine. And so this is the type of breathing that we need to explore at the beginning of our practice before we can create the sense of stability, aka core strength. As you exhale, I want you to float your left leg up to tabletop for me. And notice if anything happened, lower it back down, and then try lifting the other one. Lift the other one without flattening your low back and lower it back down. And do a few of these really slowly and mindfully. Knee reaches back so that it's right over the hip. Yep. And lower. Is there anything occurring underneath our hams? And one of two things could be occurring. Nothing, right? Or your belly is pooching up. Right? And so this pooching up is not ideal. Just keep going, alternating, trying to keep the pelvis really quiet. But instead of pooching, or otherwise known as bread lifting, as we try to lift that leg up, that's a strength exercise. You're lifting the weight of that leg, using the contraction and the stability in through the center, and your hip flexors too. So ideally, we're contracting, keeping tension, keeping that core set in through the abdomen as we lift one leg and then the other. Super subtle core work, keeping our tailbone heavy, the bottom of the pelvis, and trying not to flatten the low back. So release that. You can straighten your legs. That was just a little exploration. So I don't know how many of you are having the bread loafing effect, right? So the bread loafing effect is when you lift one leg or when you do something difficult, the belly pooches out. And so this means that we have like a disconnect in where our strength resides. So your focus is to keep tension and a core setting action in through those abdominals as we move through the next few exercises. So bend your knees once again, place your feet on the floor. This time, you're gonna exhale and float that left leg up to tabletop. You can flex your ankle, so you're just making this 90-degree action. Good. And from here, we're gonna try and super slowly make some circles in the ceiling with our kneecap. Yeah, and we'll start slow. And depending on a lot of things, but mostly if you keep your hands on your belly, mostly what we're trying to focus on is the hip joints or the hip points, the top of your ASIS, reaching the ceiling. So the anterior superior iliac spine, those two knobby protrusions at the front of your hips, stay focused on the ceiling. Additionally, no pooching of the belly. Okay, come back to center, change direction. Start really small with these circles and slowly begin to make your circles bigger and bigger, minus the pooch effect. So that's that contraction, keeping that sense of stability in through the core. Nice. 2 and 1. Now that same leg, can you straighten it out on the floor? Good. And then from here, you're just going to point the toes on that left leg, and then pelvis is heavy. Your hands are on your abdomen. I like to almost make like a triangle. So my index fingers are resting on my pubic bone and my palms are resting on the ASIS, those two bony protrusions, and then the thumbs are touching. You're gonna kick up to the ceiling, maybe roughly 90 degrees, keeping that tailbone anchored. Flex your ankle and lower it back down 5 times. Point, reach up, flex, and lower. Notice what's happening in through the abdominals. Point, kick, flex, lengthen and lower. 2 more times. Point and reach, flex and lengthen away from the body. Last time. Point, lift, flex, lower. Good. Keep that same leg on the ground. Turn your toes out. So your left toes are turning away from your body. Drag your heel in towards your bottom. Bring your knee back up to center and return the leg away from you. So drive your heel into the ground until that left leg is 100% straight. Good. Now dial your toes out to the left. Yep, externally rotating, dragging your heels back towards your sit bones. Yep, you got it. And then knee back to the ceiling. 3 more times. Extend, rotate. What's happening underneath your palms? Drag back, come back to center. Good. Really focus on dragging the heel away. Good. Turn the left toes out to the left. This is the difficult part. I know your mat's going to want to jumble up underneath you. Drag it back. Do the best that you can, keeping those hip bones level. Come back to center 1 more time. Reach. Good. Turn out. Good. Drag it back. Perfect. And come back through center. Nice job. Bring both knees into your chest. Good. Grab a hold of your right knee so the working leg is still the left leg. Keep your tailbone heavy and point your toes to the ceiling. Good. Flex your ankle, lengthen, point, lift up. Good. Reach, lengthen 5 times. Point and reach up. Good. So the back of the knee is extended. Flex your ankle. Reach it away from you. Good. Point through the front of the foot. Kick up. Good. Flex, lengthen. Core is nice and tight. I know it's difficult here to sense what's going on in your belly. Point, kick, flex, lengthen back down. Good. Lower both legs. Give them a little bit of a shake. We're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Good, so super subtle work. Bend both knees, place the soles of the feet on the mat. Perfect, good. Once again, bring your right leg up to tabletop position now. Knee over hip, shin parallel to the ceiling, flex your ankle, make that leg sharp, spread your toes. Good, here we go. Kneecap is making circles in the ceiling. I don't care what direction you started. But do your best to try to keep it slow and controlled, nothing moving underneath your palms. Palms are on your sits bones. Pubic bone with your fingertips and thumbs touching. 2, nice, Candace, relax your head, neck, and shoulders. And 1, I know, good, change directions. Where we grip, yes, is probably where you grip all the time under tension. Nice job, Suzanne. A little bit bigger if you can, but mind what's happening underneath your palms. Perfect. Straighten that leg out onto the ground. Right leg extends away. Point your toes so the front of your foot is nice and flat and sharp. Good. Kick up. Flex your ankle. Lower the leg to the ground. Point. Kick. Flex, lengthen and lower. Imagine each time I'm driving your heel away from your sit bone. Good. Point, kick. That's number 3. Flex, lengthen and lower. 2 more times. Point, kick, flex, lengthen. What's going on underneath your belly? Only you know. Good, last time. Kick up. Flex. Lengthen and lower. Keep that leg on the ground. Flex your ankle this time. So instead of it's pointed, turn your toes out to the right. Good. Try to pull the mat towards your sit bone. Drag it back in external rotation. Pull it back, Dina. Yes. Good. Bring the knee back to center. Good. And shoot that leg out away from you again. Turn it out. Drag it back. Use your exhalation through your nose. If you need to use your mouth, I'm okay with that here. Turn it out. But ideally, in and out through the nose, telling our body we're safe. Good. Extend. Turn out. Drag it back. 2 more times for me in your own time. Good. Straight on the out. Turn it out. Drag it in. Knee to center. Good. Bring your right knee in towards your chest. Bring your left knee in towards your chest. Good. Lengthen your left leg up to the ceiling. So point your left toes up. Now you're just holding your right kneecap, Tina. Yep, good. Lengthen it down to the floor. Point and kick back up 5 times. Head, neck, and shoulders. Oh, is it the other side? I'm sorry. My apologies. Hold your left knee in. I thought I had it. Anyways, it's okay. Point, kick, flex, lower. You're right, Dina. We're holding our left leg. Point, kick, flex. I thought I was doing so good. Feel the length in the leg, but it connects all the way into the core as you lengthen and reach it away. Point, kick, flex, lower. Let's do it one more time because I lost count. Point, kick, flex, lengthen and lower. Nice job. Bend both knees. Place the soles of the feet on the floor. If you have a yoga block, great. If not, that's okay too. But I do recommend you using no prop underneath your head as you lift your hips and place that block under your pelvis. And you'll know it's on your pelvis because when you come up, right, your back shouldn't round, right? So we keep our tailbone, our pelvis on the surface, whether it's a blanket or not. I don't care which leg you work, you're gonna hold on to the back of one knee, point the toes on the opposite leg up, and see if you can lengthen that leg to the floor. Oh, feels so good. And just hold the leg on the floor. Try to keep it straight. If it doesn't touch the floor, speaks a little bit about the tension in through the front of the hip. That's okay. It's all right. We are human after all. Good. Take a couple of breaths here. You're doing great. 3. Let the tension go. You can let your leg relax on the floor. 2. And 1, bend that knee, bring it back into your chest, and let's do the same thing on the other side. So I like to hold on to the back of my knee, lengthen my leg away, 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 away. Maybe it touches the floor. Either way, you're gonna relax that leg on the floor. Doesn't need to be out of tension at this point in time. We're just stretching through the front of your hip. And if you can keep it on the floor, that's great. Take a couple of breaths. Of course, it goes without saying that if any of these movements cause discomfort in the low back, you will not do them. Plain and simple. Chest is nice and open. Staying present in your body to the sensations that you're feeling. And then resting both feet on the floor. Once again, you're gonna lift those hips up and move whatever you've used to support your pelvis out from underneath you, lowering your hips to the ground. Good. From here, we're either going to come into our original exercise. So if you feel that your core, you've noticed there's a lot of pooching going on and you find it's very challenging to do this single leg work, it's not going to be any easier moving forward. So this is where you will be practicing control of your body. So no bread loafing. You shouldn't feel your hands pooch upwards as we move into the next sequence. So either marching feet flat on the floor, otherwise float one leg up to tabletop and the other leg up to tabletop. So speaking to the strength of your hip flexors and your core, which are intimately connected, put your feet on the ground. Take your hands to your belly. Big breath in. As you exhale, float one leg up. No pooching. We're good to go. Another breath in, into the upper chest, upper ribs. Exhale, float the other leg up. No pooching. You're good to go. Arms on the floor on either side at a 45-degree angle and alternate heel taps. If you are unsure if bread loafing is occurring, right, then you can use your hands. So there is this level of corseting of the low belly. So one leg heel tap and come back up. So you have to create this intra-abdominal pressure on the lowest part of your belly, but I want you to slow down. Dana, you're slow, or Dana, you're slow enough. Everybody else, take your time. One leg goes down, one leg comes up before you even move the other leg. This is about control, not speed or reps. Nice, Candace. Great job, Susan. 2. So your thigh moves away from you as your heel taps on the floor. You're not just bending and straightening your knee. 2. And 1. Both feet return back to the floor. Turning up the volume once again. So feet are flat on the floor still. Knees are bent. And you're going to lift those hips up. Good. So again, it's not going to get any easier. Now we're engaging our glutes, right? So this is kind of like a kneeling plank right now. So can you keep the corseting abdominals, front of the hips open, bum is squeezing, hands on your ASISs. Show me where they are. Yes, anterior superior iliac crest, the front of your pelvis, your hip bones. March one leg up to tabletop, float it up, and the other leg up to tabletop. So now I'm asking you to keep the same corset, but additionally, you're using the glutes to maintain the corset. If this is not happening, you lower your pelvis and return back to the previous exercise. Yeah, it's hard, right? One hip wants to drop as you float the opposite leg up. So your mission, hip bones, ASIS, don't move. Give me 2 more on each side. Take your time. And when you are done, you can lower your hips and hug your knees inwards towards your body. Nice job, team. Starting to turn the heat up as we turn you over. 4-point kneeling, please. I'm gonna make a suggestion. If getting up from the ground is challenging for you, I would suggest having 2 chairs, one on either side of you, okay? I don't have 2 chairs within arm's reach right now, but the chairs would be like support at the back of my mat. So if I had a second chair, it would be here, or from this angle, 1 chair here, 1 chair there, okay? But that's only if you have a hard time getting up from the ground. So at the back of your mat, shall the chairs be? We don't need the weight, so we're going to move that out of the way, and you're going to come to 4-point kneeling. So in our next upcoming series, we're going to do this pose. We're starting next week with bird dog using our dowel. But for today, we're going to assume in the end of our series, we know our neutral spine position. We have our low back curve, the curve of our neck, and we're actively pushing through both hands. Now imagining here where our arms are connected to our back. So how does that happen here in 4-point kneeling? We're going to draw our armpits inwards. So we're going to try and hug our armpits or draw the shoulder blades down. So lock them in, down, Yes. So we're trying to almost close those armpits. So do that here so that you feel the upper back supporting you in this posture. Create that level of tension in through the lower abdominals, right? And we're gonna go into our opposite arm, opposite leg reach. If that isn't conducive to your practice, just one limb at a time, okay? If you're able to, keeping your ASISs facing the floor, we're gonna extend one arm and one leg. See how that feels on your wrists, on your shoulders, on your back, on your core, right? Creating instability. So what's keeping those hips facing forward is a lot of things, but primarily I would say your core. Nice job, team. So we've used the yoga block on the pelvis before, alternating side to side, taking your time. That's a long hold, Dana. Nice job. She's like, I thought your computer was frozen for a second. All right. Well, you're all making that look really easy. So again, if we want to focus on more than our core, because this is a whole body exercise, that's what I love about these variations, is I would take one hand under my armpit and try and squeeze my armpit. Try it. Come to kneeling here, and or whatever you want to do to support you. And I have one hand underneath my armpit, and I'm trying to hug it, right? Upper arm moves down. From this angle, I'm going to show from the side. You know this, I know, right? Down, down. So I'm hugging my hand. Good. Down. Try the other side. Right? Do you feel things turning on up here? Yeah? Okay, so the reason I want that is because now we're going to turn up the volume if you want to. Single arm, double arm, bird dogs, we know that. Those are always viable options. Actively push your hands equally and evenly into the ground. Hug both armpits in, close them in. Take a big breath in. As you exhale, hover the knees off the floor, lower the knees back down. Press, everything's intact. Exhale. If you're not engaging through low abdominals, you're gonna see your tailbone tuck underneath you. All right, and we don't want that. So we want to keep your sits bones wide, push off of the hands, hover the knees off of the surface. Good job. Yes, my strong people. Yes. And you need that to get up off the ground, right? You need to be able to push, but without hanging out on the shoulder joints. So keep the armpits closed, draw the head of the arm bones down, core engaged. Back of the neck is long, Giselle. Yes, thank you. Okay, good. How did that feel? Not bad? Okay, so. Okay, so this is where the chair may come in handy. Please watch for a second. We're gonna do one arm, one leg, lower. This is the sequence. One arm, one leg, lower. Pause. Push into the ground. Armpits closed. Hover the knees. Walk the hands back. Use your chair or not, come up. Bend the knees, land on your fingertips, then your palms, come back and repeat 3 times. One arm, one leg, one arm, one leg, hover, walk back, stand up. 3 times, let's go. Yep, and the other side. Keep those hips square. Don't lose all that you've done so far. Good. Hover the knees. Walk your hands back. Did you notice? It's difficult to come up when your feet are hip width apart, huh? So how about we shift and make a nice wider base? So instead of feet underneath here, widen your feet. And widen them at the top of your mat, then squat, fingertips, fingers, palms, we're landing, coming down. Push, walk back, and pop up 3 times. Should be a little easier when your legs are wider. If you keep them narrow, It's going to be harder to maintain a neutral spine as you come up. Whew, I'm out of breath there. Nice, Giselle. Pop up. Yes. Once you've done 3, you're going to come back onto your forearms. Grab your weight for one more exercise on the floor. And I'll give your wrists a little bit of a break, and I'll show from different angles, okay, team? So just a moment. We're going to come down onto our forearms. This is not a plank. And we know it's not a plank because I folded at the crease of my hip, right? So if you want to turn this into a plank, you're going to have to walk your knees back, and we're going to hold our plank like so. This is option 1. Option 2, actually we're going to not use the weight for this. I feel like it might be a little bit too much even for me. So let's play it safe here so that we focus on the core. So if my hips are here, there is absolutely no way that my core is going to turn on, never mind my butt. But we're going to try and hold this, drawing the shoulders away from the ears for a count of 20 seconds. So knees down first, knees down, everybody. I don't care if you can do it. Knees down first, good. Hips are open. Starting now. So if you were already in it, Dina, drop your hips even more. Yes, pull the mat back with your elbows. Pull the elbows like, yes, there's closing your armpits. Shoosh, y'all. You're looking so, like this is so easy for you. 3, 2, 1 time, come on up or down. So, I'm not sure which class last week I was teaching, and like, if you're in a plank and you've got a crease in your hip, how are you going to squeeze this? I don't know, like it's really hard to squeeze your tush when you've got this crease. Simultaneously, if you're here, squeezing your core is weird too. So they work together in unison, right? One of my parkour, silver parkour teachers called it butts and guts. So we are going to use our butts and our guts to hold the plank for 30 seconds now. So you guys are all a bunch of keeners here, y'all. So instead of this, if you are so keen and you need to get up into a plank to show me how much strength you've built over our time together, absolutely go for it, okay? But not at the expense of pain, all right? So the next one is 30 seconds. Are you ready? Get set up in whatever variation. You're pulling your elbows back towards your feet in 3, 2, 1, go. This is not a challenge, so kneeling plank is totally fine. Forearms are going to give your wrists a little bit of a break. Pull the hands or elbows back, back, back. Close the armpits. You're halfway there. If you need to drop your knees, I will not penalize anybody. Just keep engaged. Keep the core on. Keep the glutes on. Pull the elbows back in 4, 3, 2, 1. Shift the hips back. Done. Who wants longer? 40 seconds? Dina's like, nope, nope, no. Yes. Why? Because you said no. So we are all blaming Dina for the 40-second plank. I will send you her email address later and her home address. No. Okay, you're welcome to join. If not, just enjoy an extended child's pose. But this is how we grow, right? We make the ugly faces. We curse the teacher. We curse the coach. Whoever you're cursing, that's me. Are you ready? Get your setup if you're doing it. No judgment. All right, 3, 2, 1, you're in it. 40-second hold or an extended child's pose to meet your needs today with no guilt. Susan, if you're in a plank, there is no crease at your hip, ma'am, so please open through the front of the hips, no bum back. So find a kneeling variation. Pull your hips up a smidge more for me, Giselle. Yes, thank you. Cores turn on, brace it. Push the elbows down, draw the elbows back towards the feet. Keep that on the whole time. Shoulders, 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 back, guts, and butts. 3, 2, 1, done. Extended child's pose for the world. For the world. For the small group. It must be the nice weather today that might be keeping people out of class. Hopefully they enjoy the recording. You. Good. And transition to standing team. If you want a quick sip of water, make your way to the wall. I believe I did mention walls were being used for today's class. Balance, balance, balance. In lieu of a wall, if you didn't have a wall, the back of your chair, if you had a good height, again, you know my chair is a really low height. Otherwise, you're gonna find your wall, take your fingertips to the wall at armpit height. So my thumbs are kind of just outside of my armpits. Yeah, like so. Perfect. And then from here, I'm gonna back away from the wall and find a hip hinge position, otherwise known as a downward facing dog. Feel free to unlock the knees. We haven't focused a lot on opening up the back of the knees today, but I want you to think about drawing the navel in and up while keeping that wide buttocks, right? Like you're trying to spread the mat apart with your feet. And from here, we're gonna shift all the weight into our right leg by pushing that right foot down, not by shifting over to the right, by actively pushing strongly into our right foot. And then our left leg is gonna come back and elevate it up as much as you can. Maybe as high as your hip, but certainly not higher. Good. Keep those hips, those ASs, ISs. I'm making up words now. Keep them square with the floor and then lower that elevated foot down behind you, coming into a high lunge position. So stepping that left foot back, raising those arms overhead. So that left foot touches down, Dina, and then raise your body up. So you're no longer using the wall. So you went from a warrior 3 to a warrior 1. Yeah, you're doing it. Good. And from here, lower the arms down by your side, straighten your legs. Good. And turn so that your hips are parallel. So you'll all turn to your left. Yes, good. Take your arms out so they're in line with your hips. Yep, Candace, you've got it. Turn to your left. Good. And then pivot on your left toes, or the toes that are facing the wall, which I guess is your right toes, right? Everybody's in a different position. Some people are using. We're doing a pause. Left foot turned out. I'm gonna come back onto our mat. And bend that left knee. Good. Take a couple of breaths here. Good. So remember which leg is doing the bending, because I will mess it up on the other side, just so you know. Good. Straighten your front leg. Reach your back arm down to touch your back thigh. Raise your front arm up. So come into that peaceful warrior position. Good. Return back to your warrior 2 on that front leg, your left leg, or whichever leg. Yep, you got it. Good. Straighten both legs, parallel your feet. Good, and step your feet together. Same thing on the other side. Come to the wall, thumbs at armpit level. Walk yourself back, find that downward facing dog. So I initiated this, I believe, with our right leg back, but if it was the opposite leg for you, by all means, go ahead. I tend to mirror in some respects and then don't mirror in others. So if your right leg was back before, then your left leg. If your left leg was back before, then your right leg raises up. So my right leg is lifted, my arms are straight. Try that again. Both feet down. Both feet down. Before you go onto one leg, I want you to actively push down with your left leg. So your left leg is anchored. And if you're pushing strongly down, we will feel some muscles in the hip. Focusing on the core though, to keep those abdominals square with the mat. And that back leg up now touches down on the ground. Find your high lunge position here. Yes, bend both knees for me, Dina. Come into a high lunge for me, Giselle. So touch that right foot down, raise those arms up. You got it. You got it. Straighten your legs. Good, and turn to your right now. Yeah, so I'm gonna face this way so I can see you. Perfect, our superhero pose, float those arms up, left to right, reach through those fingertips, open up the chest. And now we pivot on the other toes. So they are my right toes, not my left. Good, bend that front knee. Good, take a couple of breaths here, nice. Try not to lean forward into that front knee, right? So the shoulders stay where they are by pressing the weight into our back leg too. This is turned on. Lift up out of the waistline, embrace your core. Good, straighten your front leg. Come into reverse or peaceful warrior. So raise that right arm up. Good. Wall work is always fun. Good, parallel those arms. Bend through that front knee once again. Find your warrior two, very good. Straighten that front leg, release your hands to your hips and parallel your legs. Not bad, step your feet together. Quick sip of water. We will be using a weight shortly. For now, we're just gonna have it nearby. If you need some assistance in terms of balance work, then by all means, please have your chair nearby. Otherwise, feet or thighs touching, arms reaching down by your side. Lift your breastbone. Good. And from here, this is really challenging. I want you to challenge your balance here. Just raise your heels up, squeeze your thighs together. Good, come on up for 3, 2, 1. Whoa. And come back down. Again, 2 more times. Come up, challenge your balance here. Whatever you want to do with your arms, just keep your chest open. 3, 2, 1. Good. Again, this last time, as you do it, I want you to actively contract your abdominals and contract your glutes. Right? So keep that core connection, float up. So it's not just about your legs. Good balance requires strong core, strong glutes. All right, and lower back down. Pause, place this in your mind's eye next time you go for a walk. It just came into my head. Many people I watch people when I walk. Right? I watch people's movement patterns and whatever. So again, speaking to glutes, guts and butts. If I'm walking like this, looking at the floor, hip is hinged, belly is relaxed, glutes can't turn on, right? Conversely, if I stand tall, I can in fact engage my glutes to push myself forward and keep a sense of stability in through my core, especially if I'm carrying groceries or bags in my hands of some sort. So I suggest to you next time you're out for a walk and you pass your reflection in a retail store or some shop, I want you to have a look at how you're walking. Because I guarantee you that this can't turn on, nor could this turn on if we are walking. I'm exaggerating, of course, but even the slightest movement of our torso pitching forward is going to put a lot of undue stress on your low back, right? And you won't be able to turn your core on or your glutes on, okay? The same goes for people who walk like this, although I don't see much of that, but it's a thing. Okay, so from here, we're going to bring our thighs to touch. Turn our right toes out, so uneven base of support. Squeeze your glutes, engage your belly. And then from here, we're just gonna find that little tippy toe stance. Good. Squeezing your butt, squeezing your hip, squeezing your belly. Bring your foot to your leg anywhere or keep it here. Take your hands at heart center, shoulders back and down, chest is nice and open. Good, you can even bring just palms together or you can interlace your fingers if it feels like too weird for you. I'm okay with that. Good. 3, 2, 1. Bring your thighs back to touch. Lower your arms by your side. Same thing. Push down with your right leg. Turn your left toes out. Come back to a variation of the tree posture, Vrikshasana. Pushing down, squeezing your glutes, slight engagement through the core. Good. Chest is open, eyes on the horizon for 3, 2, 1. Good. Release your feet to the ground. Pause for a moment. This time separate your feet, hip width apart so we have a nice strong base of support. And please grab the weight that you'll be using. I want it to be challenging, and if you're going grocery shopping anywhere and you walk home with your groceries, the 2 pounds is simply just not enough, team. Okay, so you're gonna hold the bell or the end of the weight in between, slide your thumb and middle finger through the handle. It's gonna be weird. Chest open, eyes on the horizon. Good, and just begin by passing the weight around maybe 1 or 2 times in one direction. And feel, again, if the weight is heavy enough, you should be feeling your abdominals react to the weight shift. So again, 5 pounds, I don't know. Can you feel it? Anybody? These kick in. Yes, Giselle, good. Dina, good. Okay, so, or Dana rather, again, if you are not feeling it, and I really would love for you to feel it, barring an injury, and you've been told don't pick up anything over X amount of weight, please disregard this cue, but you need to challenge yourself. We're gonna go back with the weight. This time, bring your thighs to touch. Push your feet actively into the ground and squeeze your butt. Open your hips, engage your core. Okay, slight contraction. Good. Turn your toes out. So I am telling you, come back through center, pause. I am telling you to engage your core, but as you know, if a task requires you to, is challenging enough, that core will engage automatically, okay? But for the sake of this class, I'm saying, draw the abdominals in towards the spine, squeeze the glute, turn your right toes out. Good. Can you find a tree pose that suits your body today? Push that left leg strongly into the ground and pass the weight around. Woo! Once, twice, and return it. Oh my gosh. Poor choices she makes in the weight. Do you see what I mean? Put that down, pause, walk around. Things will turn on when you give them a job. And things, I mean muscles, all the things that attach to the muscles, connective tissues, they will contract and work. Let's do the same thing on the other side. If you need to change the weight to meet your needs, please do so. But it should be hard to make it meaningful, right? To challenge our balance. Come into your tree pose on the other side. If you felt like you needed to keep your toes on the ground, I am all for it. It's still an unstable base of support. Whoo, hoo, 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 hoo. Boy, we know which side is easier than the other now, right? Oh, yikes. Do the other side. Oh my gosh, a couple times in each direction. Put that down. Yikes, abunda. All right, one last thing to challenge our core. We don't need to do ab curls, right, to challenge your core. In fact, they're probably one of the most ineffective exercises out there. I mean, you might feel it, but it's not gonna create any kind of things that will help you in everyday life. So from here, we're gonna find, I think, what is the ultimate in core work is chair pose. So we've done this many times in class. I want you to practice your chair pose today. Sit down and push your legs actively to ground to stand. So as you sit back, you reach your arms forward and up. Take your time, yep. And press your legs into the ground and stand up. Good. Couple more times. Sit, chest up, Dana, not quite so deep. So Utkatasana, your shins and your chest and your torso rather are on the same angle. Little bar stool. Down and up. Good. Now think about this. Pause and hold. Pick one leg, I don't care which one, and see if you can raise the heel on that leg. Unstable base of support, maybe even lifting it up. 3, 2, 1. Lower the leg, lower the foot, stand up. Good again. We are going to challenge our balance, uneven base of support, lift the heel of the opposite foot, keep the tailbone long, core on, maybe the foot rises up. Touch down, step, stand. One more time. All right, sit. Lift the heel on one leg. Maybe you peel the toes off. Maybe you hold it for 3, for 2, for 1. Lower the toes down, lower the foot, and we stand. Last time. Here we go. It's got to be hard to make any changes in your body. Core is on. Lift the heel. Lift the toes. 3, 2, 1. Lower it down. Stand up. Separate your feet just outside of the hips and stir your hips around the room. So good, team. Ooh. Class flies by in a blink of an eye. I watched Wonka this weekend. Anybody see the new version of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? It was quite cute. It was a musical. Stirring those hips, stirring those hips. And you'll hear many a times in the physio world, oh gosh, I've been told many a times back in the day that my back hurt because I had a weak core. I think that's debatable because it's multifactorial, but let's put it this way. If you have a core that is on all the time, that what we talked about at the beginning could be a contributing factor to back pain. So you would think you'd have a strong core if it was turned on all the time, but that's not functional, right? We need to have a sense of to relax. Can you imagine if you're sitting, watching TV, talking to a friend at a cafe, having a cup of tea, and you were bracing your core the whole time, right? Think of your pelvic floor, right? And the kind of intra-abdominal pressure that's going to be created all the time. So we want the abdomen to be able to relax and be used according to the job at hand. Okay, so from here, team, that's enough preaching for the day. Have your chair at the end of your mat and you'll position yourself so that it is towards your feet. Transition if you wish. The only thing you're really going to need at this point is any support for your head and that chair. And you're just going to place your heels on the chair, knees over top of your hips. I'll give you a moment to get set up. If you want to just relax here while everybody gets set up, please do so. So I want a strong core so that it functions well. If I want a six-pack, that has nothing to do with these classes, okay? That is nutrition. That's in my kitchen. I can't help you there. That's outside of my scope. Heels on the floor. You're going to come into that figure 4 position. If this doesn't feel super comfortable, the foot that's on the chair is going to move farther away from you. So you just don't have quite a 90-degree angle. You're going to bring it into a position that supports your neutral spine and just enjoy that nice little stretch in through the hip, using that chair as some anchor or some support. And just take a couple of breaths here, maybe even moving your thigh away from you, keeping that ankle flexed on that bent knee side. A couple of nice, easy breaths, slowing things down a little bit. And same leg, so if your left leg was turned, you're going to straighten that left leg and hold on to the backs of your thighs or your upper leg. And just some nice little ankle circles. Once again, just slowing the pace down a little bit. Lower that leg. Repeat the whole thing on the other side. So you're going to flex your ankle, draw the left knee in towards your chest, and maybe press the right thigh away from your body, or left thigh as it stands, depending on who you are and which leg you're doing. Yeah, it's not necessary, but if you want a deeper stretch or deeper rotation in the hip, and then straightening your right leg, grabbing a hold. Again, if it's way up here or way down here, it doesn't really matter. We're just focusing on trying to open up through the back of the knee here. Shoulders are nice and open. Chest rather is open. Some ankle circles if it feels good or intuitive to you. And then release. I want you to push the seat of the chair away from you, and from here, just a little bit of a bridge. I want you to get a little bit of an opening through the front of the hip. You're welcome to stay in a supported bridge with nothing underneath your head if you wish for your remaining few moments in class in your mindful moment, or you're welcome to knock your knees together, open your arms, whatever works best for you. Take a moment to get yourself set up for your final 2 minutes of class. Flew by. Good, and if you're comfortable with your eyes closed, please go ahead and do so. If you're in a bridge, you're in a supported bridge, which means there's something keeping your pelvis up, like a blanket or a block, but you're not active in this pose. Otherwise, lower your hips and take a moment, cover yourself if you're cool in your home. And take a few breaths exploring how your breathing moves in your body, hands on belly at this point in your practice. Do you sense a little bit more movement in your abdomen as you let go of any tension? Because it's simply not required at this point in time. And this is why I say in class, sometimes we use weights in this series and certainly in our other Wednesday series. If your body doesn't recognize the load because it's something you do every single day, the muscles required to do the task normally don't know that they have a job to do. So in other words, if your biceps are doing a bicep curl with a bottle of water, but you hold water bottles all the time, to get those muscles to contract would be virtually impossible. So we need to make things difficult. We need to make things slightly uncomfortable, barring pain. We're not talking about pain. In order for us to grow and challenge our balance and our muscle strength, thereby giving information to our bones to stay strong. So take a moment and thank your body for everything it just did for you. Whether it was the full expression of a pose or it was something that met your needs today, you made a choice to move. So thank your body, thank your mind for getting yourself to your mat. And when you're ready here, I want you to gather yourself up and turn to your side using your bottom arm as a pillow. Take a moment there to transition. Use that top arm to gently press yourself upright and place your palms together at your heart center if you wish. Shoulders back and down, breastbone lifted upwards towards your thumbs. And as we bow in towards ourselves, we are simply acknowledging that light, that passion within us, that courage it takes to move our body regularly. And our movement practice. And when you're ready, release your hands, lift your gaze, and welcome yourself to the rest of your day. Thank you so much, team, for being here. Enjoy the sunshine if the sun is shining, and if it's not, know it's still there underneath those clouds. Have a wonderful day, team.